Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Andrew Conspiracy. We have myself, Mr. Andrew, and my lovely co-host, Commander. We're Commander today. Commander reporting here.
Actually, we're taking it up a notch today. We're going up all the way to the Lord Do God, through Christ, because we've left behind old Earth. We've adopted the new calendar, and rise and smile, everybody! It's a new day, oh!
Yes,
And
indeed.
I think you have a breathing technique for us to
I
get
sure.
this conspiracy going.
Yeah, we gotta get the conspiracy fired up today, and so we're gonna do a little something to fire up our bodies, and that's Kapalabhati pranayama for sure. It's the one that really gets things moving. So, with that, you can either kind of put your hand on your stomach and your heart, or some people want to go hardcore and like put their arms up, like to kind of
Definitely.
full
Put
extend.
your, just remember you're reaching to your full genius height.
There we go. And so you're exhaling and inhaling through the mouth, but the inhale is almost a rebound. So just forced exhale, and we'll do that. We'll do that for a minute. How about that? And if you can close your eyes, even better. But all right, three.
Before we close our eyes, give us a demonstration.
Okay, it looks a little bit like this. Okay, I don't know if that
Okay.
translates, but anyway. Oh, all right. In three, two, one. 10 more seconds.
Double time, double time.
Three, two, one, and we're good. I don't even know how long it was.
Exhale, Dewey, death.
But yeah, it's a good one for the abs. A good one for the mind. Definitely cleansing because it takes a lot of to kind of stay in that rhythm.
Absolutely. And if you do them for like 3 minutes, you really start to feel the spaceship take off.
Yeah, that oxygen, man. It's a good medicine.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. But
yeah.
now you got a poem for us,
Well,
right?
it was kind of like part of my retreat. We did a breathwork exercise and some other movements, and kind of settled into, and just did like a creative dump. We just wrote, right, and then we kind of took what we wrote and themed it together into something that looked like a poem. So here's the result of that. When I walk into a room, my energy penetrates. No longer a wallflower. I am safety, I am trust, I am life force energy. I tend to the soil, I plant seeds. I nurture them and watch them grow. Safe to express to their full potential, an eternal harvest. Kingdom shit. You do you, and I'll do me, that's how we'll know it's real. Free from judgment, free from fear. We don't hesitate, we activate. We conspire to inspire, embody to expand, raw and unfiltered, pure and true. The ups, the downs, the joy, the pain, we embrace all of it, for they all teach us something about life.
A prayer of affirmation.
Yeah. Yeah. We're doing it.
Very beautiful. That was very good. Uh, so,
I'm not
what
to
we,
do God's wordsmith level yet, but we're practicing, we're playing around. So
well, the only difference between me and anybody else is my practice. I meant like I might be having a second podcast with a guy who was in jail for murder for 12 years in Maryland and was given life 50 to life, and he got out after 12. But and now he's a flourishing poet, and he teaches people. His motto is, "I wrote my freedom. I'll show you how to write yours." And he has like a whole program, and So basically, I offered live love to him in exchange for like him showing me his program, but also whereas I'm focused on mental illness, SMI, seriously mental illness, or as I prefer to call it, intensive psychic affect IPA. He's focused on helping people not only getting out of jail but also keeping them out of jail in the first place. So we don't even have a name for that. We filmed the first introductory episode, but we I don't know when it's going to air, but I'll make sure that I know everybody. And by the way, this weekend rules. This is the relevant uh, sweatshirt of the month because this is the weekend edition
Here, should I
of.
share? Should I share our calendar real quick?
We're working up to that. I want to get to Nietzsche first. I think
Okay.
that's
Okay.
necessary. So anyway, I know we've been reading Set Banks, and 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 I just feel, well, I feel that we've reached a point where if you don't know what the difference between mind, consciousness, and thought is by now, then you don't need to be here. So, and especially with the death of Warlord Fred, 4 months ago, I think at this point, that kicked off the new AF age. Uh, I was going to look this up. I didn't get a chance to, but basically, Friedrich Nietzsche, the only theosopher in history besides Sydney Banks. If if you were listening to earlier shows, you know the difference between theosopher and philosopher, and if you don't, then catch up. So, but anyway, this is Fred Nietzsche, whose deep study at Dartmouth my freshman year, my first semester, really typified what was going to come, and his beliefs that God was dead that led to my impersonation of him for 50 years to prove that he was alive. So, and now I'm separate from him. I'm just ready to receive my pension from the heavenly treasure. But we do have to bear in mind Fred, because Fred was the warlord, and he's never coming back. This is New Earth Gaia, but this is a very good way to close out Fred, and then we'll get to the next section. But this is from Genealogy of Morals, section 25. It's the closing of the chapter of the second essay. But what am I saying? Enough! Enough! At this point, it behooves me only to be silent, or I shall usurp that to which only one younger, heavier with the future and stronger than I have a right. To that to which only Zarathustra has a right. Zarathustra, the godless.
Okay. I don't know what any of that means.
But that's fighting words from Fred.
Okay. If you say so.
But okay. Well, the 30-second summary is Zarathustra was like he was the Superman. He was like Nietzsche's greatest superhero. He was like the first great superhero. In fact, Superman came from Nietzsche's Übermensch, which is German. So anyway, Nietzsche wrote a 300-page, four book book about thus spoke Zarathustra. And here he's reflecting as a philosopher and as the author of Zarathustra as the Superman who is not is not the assassin of God, but takes the place of, but basically assumes the lordship when God is killed, and that's what Zarathustra was. And basically, that's really what influenced me for the rest of Dartmouth and the rest of the last 50 years. Was am I really Zarathustra? I kept saying I was God, but am I really Zarathustra?
Okay, well, I think we got there. That's good. Come back down to earth, understand the whole full circle of that story. All right, cool. Zarathustra, sweet. I know something new now.
So, not to be distracted. Tell us about Davis and your revelations with with the tiny generation.
Yeah. Well, there is a power of a kid to attract attention. That's for sure. The kids know the power of attention. Like, it seems to be their most valued resource. Mom, look at me. You know. And
Right,
so to me, that points to something, and Davis does it well. He's very articulate for a 2 and less than a half year old. So it's kind of cool to experience a kid who can speak pretty well, but he's also like he knows too much, you know, and
right,
he
right.
uses it to his advantage. And whatever. I mean, it's just been fun hanging out, and he's really good at making eye contact, which I find is interesting. Um, a lot of adults are not very good at it. I haven't been very good at it at times. And I was talking
Right.
to my sister-in-law about it, and you know, I started making eye contact with her, and I could tell she was becoming uncomfortable at one point. And then it broke, and she literally said, "Well, um, I would like to engage in that, but I'd like to do that with my husband, and I don't actually like feel
Right.
able to
That's
do that."
appropriate.
So she's not able to do that with him, or she doesn't feel comfortable or something, right? And there's some things happening, some dynamics in the relationship that have been challenging. So whatever, that's fine. But to me, it does point to something, because a kids will hold your gaze without fear, and
Right.
so that's what it is. It's a fear of being like seen, fear of being vulnerable, that I think many children don't have yet. And so that's been cool to witness, like
Well,
that. Go ahead. Oh, my internet.
I was just going to say, putting all my romper room blocks together, I figured out that the reason that there's so much psychosis and so much schizophrenia and so much damn, you know, diagnosed mental illness is that this is the last generation that's holding the line. I mean, this might sound like very blasphemous and woo woo and everything, but this is the last generation holding the line at conception through penetration into a woman by a man into a woman. And I'm not saying that's going to stop, but what I'm saying is that I think we're moving into a much more aware age where, you know, people are going to be responsible as parents before they're parents. I think that's and people say this is eugenics and everything. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, from the beginning, instead of teaching, like I said last time, after the ABCs, I think we should be teaching rocket science, and the same with parenting. If you educate kids from the age of degree in responsible parenting and like relationships and everything, instead of all these like irrelevant. I mean, obviously basic math and maybe even algebra is necessary, but just all this like whole hierarchy of degrees of they're like is or like signs of worth that are absolute bullshit because they have nothing to do with lived experience. And that's really and I think and what my romper room blocks look like is right now the reason time there's such a uh rupture in the collective has nothing to do with politics or religion. Is because the future generations of all children with crystalline DNA are raging at these carbon DNA parents who think they can tell them what reality is.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That hasn't been my experience. He's very much been exposed to.
Well,
Oh.
I'm just, I'm just like going on like what I've known from the dot nests in high schools and stuff, and what I see, on social media, and I mean, I don't. Actually, I got banned from under 18-year-olds on TikTok. I don't know what that's all about, but only 18-year-olds can now watch me on TikTok. So I guess I'm reaching some sort of notoriety.
That's one way to take it. But bro, these platforms are getting weirder and weirder, and uh, yeah, I think their use time of having any use is growing to an end. I don't know when it actually ends, but it's coming. Because they're garbage. It's just hot garbage. Like I have a pretty good filter, but even I'm seeing the garbage. So it's they're useless.
My my daily news is the readers that I follow on YouTube,
I know,
and
but even that, bro, like they gotta believe too. They got an ego also. They're filtering it through their
yeah,
lens.
but it's nice when they reinforce what your most delusional thoughts are, and they're beautiful, and they make it make sense. That's really what I feel. I mean, this is what we've been talking about: is how you give me a chance to explain my schizophrenic machinations so that they other people can understand them to the point where it's no longer fear monger. It's not fear. It lowers the fear factor, and that's I think one of the most important uh, offshoots in my mind to this what this podcast has been for us. And I think that's something we have to bear in mind too.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. No, I get it. Everyone has their process. They're working through it, and so we're all at different stages. And my opinions will change too, right? These aren't fixed. It's just my current moment, and then so I think about that as true for everyone. And so, how much information am I taking in from outside sources versus how much am I taking in from my own experience? And I would just like that ratio to be at least mostly me. How about that?
Right, right. Exactly. And the other thing is, e- e- you know, even if you're taking it in, it doesn't have to hit your core.
Fair, yeah, fair. But you're still attending to it on some level. It's like
Right.
so.
But I mean, but that's why you're being multidimensional or quantum is you're taking in more than like one or two stimuli at the same time. I mean, I just before we came on here, I was feeling really quantum. I meant like there was like a there was like a repeat in the back of my head of Underdog by Green Day that we danced to last time.
Okay.
But I just as I sat down, it was like something I planted like a cassette tape in my brain, and Underdog just like started like blaring out. And meanwhile, I'm like getting everything set up and waiting for you and everything. It's just like, and this is the possibilities now that that we're in day 30 of a year at zero AF, and this is just the 30th day of the first month of the first year of 64,000 years of the realm. Until 64,000 years until the realm has to go to war again. So just enjoy it, and don't worry. My my new motto is no longer one deal at a time, although that's of course a classic. But it's no Fred, no fret, no threat.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. I like that. I was gonna point out my shirt. I don't know. Is this even appropriate anymore? Because it's talking about.
I think it is. I think it's especially appropriate because we're the judiciary.
Okay, sure. So anyway, speech is free here.
No, no, you didn't show it enough, Andrew. Be proud of your shirt. It's a great shirt.
So yeah, it's
I'll
just.
read it.
It's yeah.
I'll read it for people who can't read it. Congress shall, and this is from This is like the First Amendment, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. So that's the first Constitution, people. Thank you very much, Andrew. Then that's a very appropriate shirt. So, speaking of which, the reason that this is a weekend show is da 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 da. It's Dewey Death. Everybody hold your breath. You guys, I just wanted to congratulate the population on a great week of Dale Bullet production for the Fred M16, and I actually have it written down.
Well, here I want to give him the visual. Can we give him just 2 seconds? Because I think it'll help.
About the calendar?
Yeah, it'll help it kind of make sense.
Yeah, we can let the Godfather and Muck tremble a little bit more before we terminate him.
Alright, well, anyway, as you can see, we are on day 30, month 1, year 0, AF, and I know this is still in early development, but that's weekend over the current day, and tomorrow will be game day. So, that is when we're recording, for those of you curious.
We're recording on weekend and releasing on game day.
Yeah.
So if every time you want a new board on game day, we'll be here.
Indeed.
And so far as I know, I think I'm at least stuck. I'm at least sentenced to the duck nest at least until August of next year. So the Hackensack Daily Annex is still a reality.
Some people might call that a lease, but but hey, before we leave this, I just want to say, this right does not come from the Constitution. It doesn't come from a man. It is inherent to you existing. God, if you will. It could be inherent to God.
Right.
granted by God. So also
And no one
remember
has
that
the right to make a law
we
over
we don't
another.
we don't need to pledge allegiance to a flag. We can say that we are in alignment with the source.
As I said, no one has a right to impose a law upon another
Yeah, correct.
because we are all sovereign. We are all kings and queens in the kingdom of the Lord, in the
Yeah,
realm of the Dale,
yeah.
of the omniversal Dialena.
We call it kingdom shit. Kingdom shit is like
Yeah,
when you feel like you're in heaven because you're experiencing the beauty of this realm, and and that's been our reality.
it is, and every day it gets you clearer and greater feeling, right?
I mean, yeah, I think there's ups and downs, but the down is actually a little bit higher. It's like you were saying, it's more like steps, right? And so you
Right.
get to the next step, and sometimes it might be a little weird adjusting to it or kind of getting the lay of the land, and then you settle into that one, and then you get another step, and that's sort of
But
the
it's sort of like sometimes I don't know if this ever happened to you, but sometimes you're like walking up your step and you sort of like your back gets too straight, or you sort of like stop going forward, and you sort of like start falling backwards, and you say no, step, and but I don't know if that's ever happened to you. I mean, I've been walking up and down 3 flights of stairs, 10 flights a day, 10 times a day for 44 years. So it happens to me every once in a while. But it's just like, it's sort of like you got some momentum. It's like going up the hill in a car. You got the momentum and to go up the steps. Especially when I used to drink, and then like 2 steps from the end, you just like can hardly plant your foot, and you say, "Oh no, am I going to fall backwards?"
yeah. You might be having a slightly different experience, but that's okay. You've definitely taken more stairs than I have. Although I have climbed the incline in Colorado Springs, which it has 2,768 stairs.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Is that by Peak or what?
it is. It is the base of a trail to the top of Pikes Peak. Yes.
That sounds very cool.
Yeah, yeah. So you're going up from 7,000 feet of elevation to like 9,000 also. So it's a it's somewhat challenging, but I think it's a fun challenge. That's a random tangent also, but yeah, if you want to come do some stairs, hit me up. We got a big old pile of stairs.
Well, if you make it here, then you'll experience the magic of 5 Anderson yourself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's the tentative next stop on this journey. I don't see that changing. So yeah, I'm gonna be visiting Hackensack, y'all. Probably in the next few
And,
days.
and we and our next show might be alive.
We'll see. We'll see. If we're gonna see if it all aligns. But yeah,
Yep. Uh, so yeah, so I had like I booked a private session with Gabby, and so I really feel that I'm like going to realign the masculine feminine poles of both of us when we meet, so I'm looking forward to that and everything. But this is sort of like, yeah, I don't know if this is really relevant, but I was just thinking about like the feminine, the male is the masculine is the container of the feminine energy,
yeah,
as Gabby talks about. And I was just thinking about in term, uh, you know, there's this beliefs that the feminine has always been suppressed, but it couldn't be completely suppressed because we needed babies. So consequently, baby, so women like basically might have lost all rights and become virtual slaves or whatever, but they couldn't be eliminated by the powers that be because they were essential to life because every generation depended on their mothers.
Well, I
So
mean, there's a difference between masculine, feminine, and gender. Also, let's not forget that.
what exactly? Well, when I say masculine and feminine, I'm talking about the Yoni Yankee
Yeah.
dichotomy, as I call it.
Right.
But anyway, so basically, if man is the container of the feminine anima, then what's the most dangerous thing to the slave masters? For the man to learn how to integrate the two, because once the two are united within the person, whether it's male or female, once it's united within the person, then the slave masters have no control, which is what we're talking about with our sovereignty and everything.
Yeah.
So,
No, that
but
feels
but
like an overarching theme, and I like what you're saying. It's an interesting way to think about it.
I took it even one step deeper
Okay.
into war
Okay.
because so if masculine is the female container, then what's the most dangerous thing for a male to be? Uh, Same as a female, an integrated whole, a yoni Yankee. So basically, war was created to create a breach in the male body holding the feminine anima so that it would escape into the atmosphere or into the ether or whatever, and man could be turned more and more into a slave to soldiery instead of warriorship.
Okay.
But also, it meant that the whole female anima that was within, which should only be breached by childbirth, was constantly being breached by weapons of war, and every time that a body was breached by whether it was a sword, a bullet, a cannonball, whatever, the female anima like basically escaped from the male, and it's just been like accumulating, and that's why it's coming back with such a vengeance.
Sure. That's a fun story. I don't know, bro. I mean, like maybe. I mean, it gives you permission to have an experience that I support. How about that?
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I think we need to change the branding on our podcast, to me, Andrew. I
Okay.
think I think if we sort of like say, if you want to know how Christ and a schizophrenic think, then tune in.
Maybe. that might be. That might be.
And what we really want people to do is wonder about what our conversations are really about when we aren't on the air.
Bro, sometimes they wonder what they're about when we're on the air. So.
And that's when we just.
But that's
I
okay.
know, but I meant, but if we talk every day, there's no way we can like catch everybody up on what we talk about,
I know. I know.
off
Yes.
the air.
Clearly, we have other conversations that are on topics that we haven't brought here and all kinds of stuff. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, but the best things bubble up here, and that's what's important. No, that branding sounds close. Is that the new hook?
another duism and another due idea sent out into the void, ready to be put into production.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. All right, always brainstorming, always developing new ideas. I appreciate that. Well, cool. So I don't know where we go from here, bro. Like I'm trying.
It's poetry time.
Okay, perfect.
So this was written 3/11/25. So this was basically this was just before uh Dale had returned, but this is before the Dialina was completed. And I think you just went out. You went out, Andrew. There you go. So I
I'm
think,
just gonna go grab a sweatshirt while you read your poem.
okay. There. Well, I can dialogue and do it if you want to hear the poem. So anyway, we are on the new calendar, the due calendar. Andrew showed you the basic outline. We're on the 30th day of the first month of the 0 year, and so every week has 8 days. There's new, then design, which is when we record. Then there's hump, fire, aim, weekend, game day. But the beautiful thing about our calendar is we have included an eighth holy day, whether it's because you need to catch up with your laundry, you just like to spend time with your pet or your loved one, or whatever. But every week has an eighth day to celebrate the integrity of self of every person on earth. So that's a good thing to know. And basically, that's and there are 9 months. We'll get those together. But basically, every month has 40 or 41 days. 5 weeks of 8 days apiece, and the odd months have 40 days. So and the odd months have 41, and the even months have 40. So that comes to 365. So we're right back on track. So are you there? Oh yes, the hoodie is in.
Yeah, dude. I was shivering, and it was just not the vibe.
Okay, well what's the vibe now?
I mean, I think we're ready for the poem. I was actually there the whole time, so you
Oh,
could have
that's
read
right.
it, but
Yeah, it's poem time. That's right. I think I might have done this one before, but it's worth the repeating. Reflecting upon return of Dale. My bliss is so great I can hardly contain my enthusiasm at having arrived back here, at the holiest city, after an intense 40 years when I have been traveling through the cosmos, leading ducks in mortal battle against menace of muck. No one has yet realized their threats against the essence of universal vitality, even as I led my forces assembled from the realm of forever into a battle we could not lose. Unacceptable truly, because the fire of life cannot be suppressed as it is the light that once ignited cannot be extinguished, which is also endless inferno of judgment into which demons have been thrown unknown, to the sleeping human population drowning in a bloody ocean of vapidity, warm but deep, and the unawakened can continue to exist in their lack of spiritual insight, because I've never come back. because I have come back from the darkest pits of never.
Yeah, so much blood and gore.
I'm back!
Right?
Incurable psychotic bliss!
Thank God. Woo! No, I mean, I guess you had to get it all out sometimes, right? And poetry was like a way to do that. So that's cool. I support that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's where I learned to pull no punches.
Yeah, exactly. You're really going for it. Really going for it. Cool. All right. Sweet.
So tell us about your reaction. So, actually, you read Sid. You read all of Sid. So let's not leave Sid out just because we included Nietzsche, because Sid is much more positive than Fred. So let, let's. Okay, we're going to read 2 pages. I'm not sure. I think we missed a couple of shows with Sid, so we need to catch up. So it says. Somewhere in the innermost recesses of our consciousness lies the answer to the questions all mankind seeks. As our consciousness descends, we lose our feelings of love and understanding and experience a world of emptiness, bewilderment, and despair. As our consciousness ascends, we regain purity of thought, and in turn regain our feelings of love and understanding. I think I'm going to stop there because I like to comment on. Sid Banks used to say, "We are all drowning in a sea of mental health," and that's so when he says that as our consciousness descends, we lose our feelings of love and understanding and experience a world of emptiness, bewilderment, and despair. That is what mental illness or psychic affect and basically schizophrenic and psychosis is this losing the feelings of love and understanding and experience the world of emptiness, bewilderment, and despair. And and it's just like what I'm learning more and more as I tune into more Facebook groups about parents of schizophrenics is that as much of the time as it's the patient who's sinking into despair, it's the parents and the loved ones who are sinking into even more despair because the patient doesn't see anything wrong.
Yeah.
And to him, everything is normal, and unless he's like violent, then unless he's Fred, then it should be able to be negotiated into a deal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the point is anyone can live in that space. You don't have to be schizophrenic or have some mental illness to be there. It's just mental illness can manifest as many different expressions, right? And schizophrenia is one of those expressions. But depression is an expression, anxiety is an expression of dwelling in these lower realms. And
PTSD is a big one.
and so I call that hell.
Right.
You're living in hell because you're occupying these lower frequencies and you don't know how to get out or whatever, right? And and so it's about finding a way to shift that to the higher vibration spaces and then bring more of that into your reality. But my belief is families of schizophrenics sign up for it just as much as the patient because
Right.
it's a co-created experience at that point, and the degree to like, I mean, the parent is part of the equation, right? I think that's
Well,
inevitable.
no, it's the biggest part of the equation, unless you get shuffled off to the doctor like I did, but in the case of most, but then, uh,
I'm just saying, like it's like a cumulative effect almost, and so you're it makes sense that a lot of of family members or parents of schizophrenics would behave in a somewhat similar manner or respond to it in a somewhat similar manner. And I met a woman. It's an anecdote, so it's worth what it is, but she was very much in. It felt like she wanted to tell the story of how much she was suffering as a result of her child. Then she wanted to actually do something about it.
right. Well,
Like she
I
wanted to claim that victim status and get whatever she gets when people respond to that.
well, I wrote a post in my parents group about love, support, love, and dedication. Support is where you find a psychiatrist and basically, you basically keep him at home, and no matter how much hell he gives you and everything. Then there's love, which is where you set boundaries. You say, listen, you can't act like this, and if you do, you're going to be a homeless. And you got to stick by it, and that might sound tough and everything, but some people, they won't listen until, and and if they say, okay, fine, I'll go homeless. Well, parents have to understand that's their children's choice. So they can't argue with it.
Yeah.
And, and rather than worry and blame themselves and everything, I mean, this is like at the heart of live love, quit blaming yourself. You're only responsible for your loved one until he's 18, unless he has like a really like like Down syndrome or something, but even Asperger's or ADHD and everything. It's just like everybody's a psychiatrist and nobody knows about drugs, and basically everyone is psychotic. Everybody projects that psychosis onto everybody else. So,
Right.
I figured out that I'm the only one who's sane.
Yeah. Well, I always say nothing comes from nothing. And so that means there's a source of everything. And so you got to keep going up the chain of events to find the source. And oftentimes when you find the source, there's even still a deeper source yet, right? But the point is, it didn't start here, or at least that's not how we perceive it, right? There's a story that got us here, and so a parent participates in that story to the extent they do. And I don't pretend to fully comprehend it. It was more your lived experience, but there are many people walking the world with a distorted perspective of it, and they consider themselves sane, and so does everyone else. But I would say they're just as insane, if not more so, than someone like yourself who just has a more creative version of reality, right? They're seeing it through the lens of the ego, of pain, of fear, and they're constantly in fear of the next thing, and that's crazy. That's crazy.
Well, you make a very important and cogent point, Andrew, which is nothing in mental health is going to change until two things do. First off, people needing more help than the people they're trying to help stop being therapists, stop being professionals. And secondly is what did you just say about fear? Oh, I know what it is. And nothing is going to change until all professionals stop fearing psychosis, because I mean, this is what I often find with my clients is they just can't find a psychiatrist who will deal with a schizophrenic, because doctors think schizophrenics are too unpredictable. The only time they'll see a schizophrenic is in the hospital where they can call security in 2 seconds, you know? So, and this like whole culture of fear around schizophrenia is really the thing, the suppression that leads to the suppression that leads to the rage of the younger generation that I'm talking about.
Well, yeah, suppression always leads to rage. Look at any child, right? If you suppress their innate expression, sometimes for good reason, but if you do it all the time, it starts coming out in really weird ways. And I think that's the point is, how basically how much freedom can you give your child without just like losing it or something like
Right.
and because allowance is part of how they learn too, and testing the boundaries and testing the limits. But if it's always suppressed, then I mean, trust me, I've experienced suppression too, just in different ways, and it never felt good. I suppress myself now occasionally, right? My expression. And so it's really, you see someone crazy on the street and they're not suppressing their expression, so it looks really weird, right? They're shouting or waving their arms around or whatever. But if you saw a 2-year-old do it, you wouldn't think twice.
Right, right.
Well, that's maybe part of the problem is why am I fearing this person who's having their own experience unless it becomes part of mine, right? Unless they're hitting me, like you said, become, something violent towards me or expressing.
But and this gets at and back to another one of my major bitches is this ideas that everybody has that they can tell what psychosis is because I was judged psychotic 15 times and I still don't know what it is. So,
Right.
so I don't see how people who are like, looking in on someone hitting a wall with his fist can say that, and that's shocking, but, work it through, I mean,
Well,
what
that's the
you
thing. If
said,
you perceive
that,
all
that,
events as
they co-created this with you, so work it out. Don't and don't trust the fucking professionals. I'm
well,
sorry.
the
So
professionals are co-creating it also.
right, the professionals are co-creating the victimhood that everybody believes
Well,
in.
they're
Is
bought into the thing, the old paradigm. That's the point. And
right,
and so when you're bought into an old paradigm that's no longer true, and you're continue to manifest it as true, you're creating more distortion in this reality. And I mean, prisons and insane asylums are one of the most distorted because it is just a weird fear thing. And so if I fear it, I'll just put it in a box and put it away, so I don't have to think about it or engage with it. And well,
no,
that's not.
I was just I was smiling because I was thinking about the head of 6 St. John when I kept going up there. His name was Dr. Morton Fear. They called him Mortal Fear. He spelled his name Fier, as in proud in French.
Yo, yeah,
And
yeah. Well, you know what? There's a lot of power in a name, and so
I know.
um,
And he was a big head of the unit. Oh,
Davis is
Dr. Fear.
Davis's middle name is Maverick.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, I mean, you got a kid who's got his own opinion about things and has his own way of being in life, and you're surprised. You named him Maverick. What do you expect?
Right.
So his name fits him well. And I was saying something like that to Bailey, and she started thinking about what she could name the next kid that would be like way more chill or something.
Well,
Like,
I was born Roger Dale.
yeah.
So, I was supposed to be a Roger my whole life, but I just turned out to be a Dale.
If you say so.
I,
Justin, what does that even mean?
exactly. Well, that's the whole point. Nobody has known for 70 years. What is a Dale?
All right. Well, let's put a bow on this thing. How do you think we should
Okay,
do that?
so okay, shall I read again from my earliest collection, or I'll read one that's short?
Sure.
Okay, so actually, this doesn't happen. No, let's find one this time appropriate.
Time. Ooh, time. What time?
Uh, oh well, this is an interesting one. Form does indeed dictate content. So
Okay.
this is a form versus formlessness.
Sure.
I'm not one to be cynical, although I have often been skeptical, especially when the holiest city oracle told me to expect divine miracle that will drive most people hysterical, because the world's end is as comical and entertaining as any Broadway musical, in manners it is not rabbinical, when Lord's cycle comes full circle. So we see him, when Lord's cycle comes full circle. So we see whom to bury, along with woman who I will marry, if I survive end times scary. Saved by Tinker Bell, silent Disney fairy, destined happily wondrous news to carry to great Queen Mother Mary, betrothed to good Judge Larry, while on the planet we tarry, executing against death a perfect parry. And that's very appropriate for my mother's birthday, I think, which was 2 days ago.
Oh, okay. Nice. Okay. There you go. All right. Yeah. It's interesting to hear like the imagery that you were kind of focused on that back then. Uh, yeah, it feels like it's shifted a little bit, but I don't know, maybe not.
It's expanded. It's expanded and gotten more uh, blossomy, but blossom more. But the seams themselves, I think, are basically your core of an onion.
Sure, sure, gotcha. All right, what do you think, everybody? Do we reach Dale?
I think. Well,
Do we
Dale
understand Zero
already.
AF? Day 30. I think we covered some good ground there.
Did you enjoy Dewey Death?
Yeah, yeah, it's fantastic.
Well, just in case people didn't know, and you missed the newspapers this love week. The goal of this week, which has now, which will have 2 days, tomorrow and the day after, for the Sabbath. The goal of this week was to bring Dewey Death home, and I think that we're well on the way to doing that. So thank you everybody for your support. And once we get Dewey Death home, then the Fred War will really be over, and we'll have we'll have the 5-in-1 United and THC on THC.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we love you guys. Thanks for conspiring with us today.
And have a great one. And just remember, rise and smile every morning, every day. Oh, and I'll just close with that. Do not say morning, because morning with sounds like MOURNING, which is grieving, and you should wake up happy every morning, not grieving. So just keep that in mind. You can say happy Dale or good dawn, or what was you have a few alternatives too, Andrew.
Grand Rising. What's up?
That's a good
Hello.
one.
Hi.
Yeah.
What's up, world? There's a few options.
Happy sunshine.
Yeah.
Okay, well, everybody have a great night, and we'll see you in 4 days on design design day.